All right, this video, we're going to go over implementing our first algorithm, which is converting temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius. If you remember, an algorithm is a set of discrete step-by-step instructions for solving a problem. So in this case, we've translated the equation in parentheses Fahrenheit minus 32, the result of which multiplied by 5/9 will give you Celsius. We've set that out to step by step, entering a temperature in Fahrenheit, subtracting 32 from the Fahrenheit temperature, taking that result, multiplying it by 5, and then taking that result and dividing it by 9, displaying the result for Celsius. So in Max, let's open up a new file. I'm going to use Command N to do that, just like any program. Bring it up. You can see in my console window, I'm going to keep that open, but I have output from the last time I was running Max. I can clear that since it doesn't apply right now. Up here, I am still going to zoom to 150% to make this a little bit readable and get started. So first thing I want to do is I have the algorithm open in another window in a text file. I'm going to add that as a comment so that I can see it in Max. We can see it as I'm working. So I'm going over you can't see into a text file, copying that, and then back in Max, I am entering a comment, which I can type C, and it'll add the comment wherever my cursor is. Then I'm going to paste in the text from my text file. So enter temperature in Fahrenheit, subtract 32 from the Fahrenheit temperature, multiply that offset by 5, divide that output by 9, and display the result. That's the algorithm. Okay, so start translating this into Max-specific program elements. Now, enter the temperature in Fahrenheit. I need some way to type in a number. To do that, I'm going to use a number object or a number box. It's a graphical element that I can input numbers into. By default, we're working in integers here. So if I click, I want the first one. You see that in parentheses, it's the keyboard shortcut is I. I'm going to bring this up. And then let's just play around with it a little bit. If I click on it, I can't type numbers. In fact, my keyboard is typing in other new objects. But if I select it and try and just type in numbers, nothing happens. I also added an object that doesn't exist. That gave me an error message over here. Going to clear that. So lock the patch, Command click. And now if I click on the box, the number box, this triangle on the left highlights. That means it's ready for number input. I can type the number, say 54, hit return, and then that has been entered. I can also drag it up and down, and it progresses like a slider. If I click somewhere outside on the white space away from the number box, it's no longer accepting my number input. It's not changing. It also, if I highlight it again, if I type the word help, the number box doesn't receive letters. It's not set up to do that. So it's restricted in what it can do, but this is what we want it to do. All right, so we're going to unlock the patcher, and we're going to add the next thing in the algorithm, which we want to subtract 32 from whatever temperature we enter. So mathematically, this is an offset. Every number has 32 subtracted by it. We can use an object, either from the icon to a bar up here, or we can just put our cursor under here and type an N for new object. Type the minus sign for subtraction, then a space, very important. And then what we want as our operator, what the input is going to have what's subtracted from it, and that's going to be 32. Hit return, and I can see its inlets appear and outlet. I can connect the outlet of the number box to the subtraction object. Then I can have another integer number box so I can see the result. It's not part of my algorithm, but that just helps me see what's going on. So I can type the I for integer number box, connect the output of the subtraction object, put it into the new, lock my patch. You notice every number object I add starts at 0. And even though there's a number 58 minus 32, I don't see the result because this 32 only operates when it receives new information. So if I click on the first object, number object, and type in a new number like 60, hit return, then I get a result. And I'll do that anytime I type a new number in, 70, return. Or if I slide, because every time the number changes, it's sending a new number to the subtraction object, which displays the result. Okay. Going to command click to unlock again. So I've done these first 2 steps. I enter my temperature, subtract 32. Now I need to multiply by 5. Again, bring my cursor over here, type an N for new object. Type the asterisk for the multiplication sign, Shift 8, space, and the number 5, and return. Connect. And then I want another integer number box. So I see the result. Lock the patch. I'm going to type in a new number up top, 70. And you can see subtracted 32, multiplied by 5. Unlock, so I can keep going. I've done this part now, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to divide this output by 9. So new object, N. Divide is the / below the question mark, space, 9. Hit return. And then this final step, display the result. I've been doing that all along anyway. That's an I for an integer number box. And I'm going to connect these things. And I'm going to lock my patch. And now I have a functioning Fahrenheit to Celsius converter. Type in the top, try 72, and hit return. And that gives me 22 degrees Celsius. I can even make comments. If I unlock the patch, I can go up here, I'll type a C. And the same thing for comments. If I'm editing and I hit return, it keeps adding line breaks. I need to click outside. I can go down here, type another C, and Celsius temp. Just tells me what's going on. And it'll keep changing. Obviously, 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing point. That's 0 in Celsius. So that should work. I mean, you know what some of these conversions will be. You know what others will be about. The boiling point in Fahrenheit translates to 100 degrees Celsius. Now, if you were to check some of these with a calculator, these numbers may not be exact, especially like when I go to 72. I really should have some decimal point information after the 22, but I'm only using integers and integer math. So what's happening is that the floating point values are getting truncated to integers. So this was supposed to be, I think, 22.66, and it's just dropping the 0.66. It's not rounding, it's just dropping. So some things to check if it's not working, to keep in mind, making sure, can unlock, that you have spaces after the math operation signals, because this is the object name. That dash minus sign is the name of the object. And then the space says, I'm done naming the object. Now what happens is an argument. Same here. So you could select, click again, it selects everything. Click one more time and it gives you the insertion cursor, and you should be able to move it with your arrows without crossing over the math operator or the argument as you go through. Okay, for each one. It can be hard to see when you're working. It can be hard to see that space. It can hard to be seeing it when I'm entering it. So that's important. That's one thing. Make sure you are connecting proper outlets to inlets. So by default, the left outlet is what sends the result of whatever the program element does. So the number box, the result of entering a number is to send the number out the left outlet. Objects do their thing. They calculate or do whatever function they're defined to do when something comes in their left inlet. So left outlet to left inlet, outlet, even if there's only one in this case, to inlet, left inlet, all the way down. Make sure that's right. That'll be your two biggest things. No space, or you connect the wrong outlet as you go through. Now finally, let's clean this up a little bit. I didn't bother trying to make this straight. So if I go up here, I can drag over all the objects, just like if I was selecting them in a picture or in a Word document, and go to Arrange and do Auto Align. So they were kind of in a top to bottom arrangement. Max figured I wanted them lined up vertically to do that. And now this looks much cleaner, more organized. The other thing, so let's make them out of alignment again, is that when I move the objects around, and I did this kind of I do this a lot by default, is I'm moving this object, you'll see red guidelines appear. This shows me that the right edges are aligned. Now the middle of my this object, the subtraction, is aligned with a number box above it, its middle. Or now the red guideline by the patch cord, that shows me that the patch cord is straight. Then take this one, the same thing. I want to move it over. And you see that it's lining up with whatever it can, because it doesn't know what I want to line it up for, but it just shows me. And I move it over till I get the red guideline by the patch cord. And now that's straight. And so different styles of working relate. If I'm doing a lot of things, I might throw them up. It's pretty easy to use the guidelines to line things up, but it's really easy to use the shortcut through the Arrange menu. So I've done this. Same thing as I did before. I'm going to save it. I've got my folder where I'm keeping everything. And going with a long name, we'll call it this. Save it. That's done. I can close it down, move on to something else. So that's it for now. We'll start moving on with some other things with MIDI and program operation next week. Bye.